just want to give the benefit of it. If you said is we want to documents to be so that we can be clear about what actually has taken place.
Okay. At paragraph 3.5.2, you have noted payment of $200,000 without supporting documents to Banjul Relief Initiative. It says the payment was made on 20th June 2019 with payment voucher number 352 in respect of COVID-19 emergency support to the Soma community. And you had some other things to say. Can you run through that?
Yes. For all expenditure, appropriate payment voucher must voucher number 352 in respect of COVID-19 emergency support to Soma community. According to the finance manager, the community of Banjul formed this association to provide support to the citizens. We could not establish how funds were received and disbursed by the BCC. Our implication, we are like, in the absence of supporting document, there is risk that the payment is not genuine. There is risk that this payment was from council fund without being budgeted in the approved budget, leading to excess expenditure. And then the response was the payment paid to Soma community was from the funds mobilized by the Banjul Relief Initiative and deposited to council on behalf of the initiative. So auditors were like, no supporting document was provided for our confirmation. For them, they were like, the fund was raised, mobilized by the Banjul Relief Initiative, and they paid it to the council account. But there is no supporting document for that, as far as auditors are concerned.
Pages 42 and 43, you have highlighted payments that were not verified by the internal auditor.
Yeah.
And these payments amounted to $4,583,000 and $28.83 butut.
Yes.
When you check, a lot of these payments were salaries and wages. The sum of $449,310 and 12 bututs was paid to the chief cashier.
Yeah.
Actually, several payments. Another payment of 305,000 odd, 527,000 odd, 678,000 odd were all paid to the chief cashier. And a payment of 299,000 odd was paid to the acting finance manager. And all of these were without supporting documents. Can you shed some light on this?
Yes. Section 504 of the Finance and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities state that all payments must have been properly analyzed and certified by a relevant officer, including the internal auditor, before they are passed to the Chief Executive Officer for payment. The internal auditor is there to verify and certify before it is taken to the CEO for the payment. The council made several payments without evidence of verification by the internal auditor. So this is the payment amounting to $4,583,028.83. If you see payment of salaries, yes, they might be genuine payment. But the issue here is the internal auditor has a responsibility to vet all these payments. If there is any error or anything, he can bring it out to the attention of the manager to mitigate the risks. But in this case, there is no evidence that the internal auditor has, verified these payments before they are processed. So there is risk of lack of adequate supporting document or detail occurring with the affected transaction, which might not be detected and correct on time. Because if these payments were not properly supported, the errors, whatever happened, it will go undetected if it doesn't pass through the internal auditor. So that's the risk. So forward to the internal audit department for verification, acting director of finance. So what they said, they were like, it will be forwarded to the internal auditor for internal audit department for verification. I don't know, but it should have passed through the internal auditor before the payment. But now they're saying they will take it to the internal auditor for that for verification after the payment has already been effected. Yeah.
But would it be fair to say that, or to assume that the only reason why salaries, if it's genuine payments, why salaries would be paid to the chief cashier for those amounts, or the finance manager would be if the salaries are going to then be paid to the staff in cash?
No, yeah, that's another thing. You know, the council, I know this was the chief cashier, you know, some staff receive their salary in cash. Even though I know in the central government at some grade you can't, but at certain grade you can still receive in cash. So I know they're still paying some staff on cash. So these are maybe the payment done to the chief cashier to be able to pay those who are on cash. But the issue here is, even with that, it should pass through the internal auditor to verify, so that if there is any abnormalities in the payment or whatever, he will flag it. But if you do it, the payment has taken place and you said now, we are taking it back, because like the payment is done, we are just doing it retrospectively. The objective and the purpose is defeated already.
And would this also pose a risk where you have raised issues of payroll, or where, if you're saying the establishment register has issues, it's either incomplete or there are ghost staff? Would it be fair to assume that where such salaries are being paid in cash, it is difficult to know whether some have been misappropriated or not? Yeah,
and you know, cash payment by naturally is of high rates. Cash payment by, so that's why the internal auditor need to be part of the process, so that he can flag if there is any risks, rather than coming back after the process. Coming back after the process, that's for external auditors.
Just to take you back briefly about the 200,000 payment in respect of the COVID emergency support, do you find it usual, in respect of perhaps other councils, for private individuals or private initiatives like that to pay funds into council accounts?
It's not, because council is different from the reason. Maybe the auditors might not, because we don't just want to say it is wrong or it is this.
No, but, but is it usual? As it is,
no, it's not. No, it's not. With other councils.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not usual. And then if you see it private, this thing being paid to councils for, it's an area where auditors has to find out why, the documentation, the reason. And then, so if that is not clear, so we definitely has to flag it. But it's not usual. It's not a usual thing.
Thank you. I refer you to page 45 on deduction of withholding tax. So we've gone through several contracts with BCC ranging several millions, and you have pointed out that no withholding tax has been deducted by BCC in respect of any of these contracts that you have reviewed. Can you tell us what the implications of this are?
Yes. According to the Section 89 of the Income and Value-Added Tax Act 2012, a person who retains the service of a contractor or subcontractor to carry out work or supply labor or material for carrying out the work shall withhold tax at the rate of 10% of gross fee or other payment made to the contractor or subcontractor in respect of the service. So, but during this, we noted that the council did not deduct withholding tax from the supply of goods and services for the period under review, and non-deduction of this withholding, the implication is a violation of Income Tax Act, Value-Added Tax Act. And they responded to say BCC management has started implementing the deduction and holding tax due to government through GRA and respecting the protocols of withholding tax. The director, they said now they started doing it. So that can only be confirmed in the subsequent audit.
Okay. You have pointed out an issue that we have pointed out previously with another witness, which is overdue acting appointments. And you have stated several staff, about 8, I believe, that have been in acting positions for several years. And you have stated that it is out of order, essentially. Can you tell us about this?
Yes, according to the overdue acting appointment, according to the general order of the general order, stated that 02203 of the general order stated that where any officer has acted continuously in a post for 6 months, the Public Service Commission shall automatically approve he or her substantive appointment unless an advertised report is submitted on he or her performance or conduct. So during the audit, we noted that several key positions at the council were on acting appointment for more than 6 months, in contrast to the above general order. There were no report on staff performance or conduct. So their names, like some of them have been, acting for a long time, very long time, without being, So the implication is the practice of keeping appointees in acting position well beyond the required period and without assessing the staff might result in underperformance without notice. And then we recommend that they should review the affected appointment with a view to regularize the appointment as required by the general order. So their response was, this is a valid observation. However, sometime in 2020, a directive came from our line ministry, the Ministry of Local Government and Land, that councils do not have the mandate and audacity to promote, terminate, or dismiss any staff. Subsequently, a communique came last year, meaning July 2021, that councils can promote and hire from grade 6 downward. We are waiting for the ministry's directive and approval to kickstart the process of confirming these positions and officers. We have started engaging the ministry and recently wrote to confirm the new director of finance. Now, the remaining positions and portfolios will be treated accordingly in due course. Please find information attached for substantial fees. Auditors further comment, we have not received any evidence during and after our audit exercise to confirm that the council did write to the ministry concerning about the above issue.
Thank you.
Yeah, they said they wrote to the ministry and then order, but we don't have any evidence of that, so we can't.
Very well. We were able to confirm some of this from the ministry.
Yeah.
Under debtors, receivables, page 49, unrepaid loans, you have flagged unrepaid loans of 40,000 owed by 2 non-staff at 20,000 each. The repayments were due several years earlier, but it is still an issue. And you indicated that issuing loans to non-staff might lead to non-repayment, leading to loss of funds to the council. And the council responded. Can you just go through the response and any further comments?
Yeah, the reason some of these things are strange, but this was since 2013. The reason why we flag it is like because it's been appearing on their financial state balance. Sorry, on their debtors listing. That was the reason why we flagged it. Since 2013 has not been recovered. And then issuing loans to non-staff might lead to non-repayment, leading to a loss of funds to the council. And then again, their response was the loan allocated to the 2 women was in respect of a council resolution to support the 2 women selected by the government to go to Mecca, and a resolution to that effect was passed. The people and staff concerned were engaged for possible recovery. Furthermore, the query is noted and council will improve means of recovery. So this happened since 2013, but it's just in their books. That's why we just bring it out so that at least they can regularize it, either to write it off or, do something about it.
There was also staff loans of 136,429, which were not repaid, and the staff are no longer working with BCC.
Yes, 136 we are not repaid. The staff we are no longer working with BCC, and no evidence was provided to ascertain that efforts were made to recover the loans. Now, these were The two of them were 2017, and then the other three was 2019, but they were all former employees. The other one, former councillor, and the other one, the contract was terminated. And they said the loan allocated to the two women was in respect of a council resolution to support two women selected for the maker. So they are just reporting the same thing. But the reason is like we are trying to bring out here, if you are giving any loan, there should be a loan policy, there should be a guarantor. So these are serious internal control weaknesses. Because public fund, whoever is to benefit, has to be a bona fide staff. And then again, even if it's a bona fide staff, there should be policies in place so that if the person defaults, you'll be able to recover from the guarantor. So that's why we brought in some of these things. And
I note that the two of the persons listed are former councillors,
yes,
not actually staff of the council. In your experience, is it usual for the councils to give out loans to councillors?
I might not know, because I think the councillors are, you know, for us, if at all there is a policy, that councillors has to be this, we can, but we don't see any policy, so I can't. So for us now, it's just a flag that it has been issued and then the road is defeated, and there is no, we don't see any document to see that they are recovering or what else and they are doing about this.
Okay. You have stated at page 55 that BCC did not have, well, to the effect that they didn't have an assets register because no assets. You said, we note that assets purchased for the years 2019 and 2020 were not recorded in their respective fixed asset registers. Yeah. Did you see an actual asset register that would have had assets that were purchased in previous years but were in the register as at the date of the audit?
Yeah, the findings say we noted that asset purchase for the years 29 and 20 were not recorded in their respective fixed asset register. And then their response was, oh, they haven't responded to that.
Yes, there's no response.
Yes, that means maybe the asset register is there, but they purchased assets in 2019 and 20, and then they are not recorded in that register. That's what the finding is talking about. But you know, they haven't responded. Otherwise, then that will give us a clue. But by going through the report, by going by our report, it assumes that it's just telling that maybe the report, asset register was not updated. They purchased us and they didn't include them there.
The page after that, you have stated that you note key information such as the insurance policy and date of disposal of assets were not included in the fixed asset register. So what I'm trying to find out from you is if you recall during the course of the audit whether there was actually an asset register. Were you presented with one?
Because the finding, I didn't see any finding about the unavailability of what they're saying, because this is what the asset register says. They should have the date of accusation, the cost, the description, the location of that, the insurance policy, and then the date disposal and the condition. But they're saying the assets purchased in 2019 and 20 were not recorded in the asset register. So what that implies is the asset register is there, but these assets were, because asset register can be there, not meet the requirement, because like most of the key things are missing, or maybe you are not updating it. Because it's just a book or a template, you can develop it and then if you are not updating it, it's as good as not in place. So that's what they're saying. So if at all it is not there, I know that one will also come as part of a separate query.
Okay. Page 57, under governance review, you have stated that the council did not provide minutes of meetings of the council and or other documents for the years 2019 and 2020. We were not availed with personal representations of personnel of the council during both planning and fieldwork stages of the audit, even after several requests. Can you tell us about the implications?
Yes, if you look at it, this is a requirement from the General Council, and then the council did not provide minutes of meeting of the council and or other documentation for the year 2020. We were not able to have personal representation or we were not availed with personal representation of personnel of the council during both the planning and the fieldwork stage of the audit. The implication is in the absence of minutes of meeting and discussion with the personnel of the General Council, it will be difficult to assess the effectiveness and efficiency of the council. So management response was this. Management response, we have started on a whole scale to take and document all minutes of all meetings within council. Starting from the general council meeting to contract committee meeting, we are producing and documenting all minutes. This has been implemented since around the end of 2020 to date. We are receptive of the benefits and the legal ramification of these minutes going forward as an institution. It has been a typical issue for BCC management and taking its stance to stem the tide of lack of meeting. We've coopted secretary to the deputy mayor, Fatoumata something in all committees and general council to take minutes. The auditors further comment there should be a council clerk as required by section 44(1) of the Local Government Act 2002, which states that there shall be a clerk of each council who shall be appointed by the Local Government Service Commission. Therefore, BCC need to hire a council clerk as per the Act. So what happened was there was no minutes, but you know they agreed. They said if they will. But again, during our audit, we also, apart from the management responsible for the day-to-day, we also like to have interaction with the councillors, so that you know some of the governance issues, so that most of these issues will come out clearly. But we made that request so that we can have that interaction and listen from the councillors and get their view about the governance structure, but it wasn't possible. It wasn't possible. So that also contributed to this problem, these issues.
And it would be fair to say it has a financial implication as well, because councillors are paid also per sitting, and where you cannot verify that the sittings did take place, any amounts can be paid. Yeah.
Okay. But minutes should be the evidence of sitting to meeting to whatever.
On page 61, you have highlighted the non-use of softwares. The council spent $456,000 on QuickBooks accounting software and integrated HR and payroll system. And you have stated that there's a risk that the money was wasted on purchasing these softwares because the softwares were not being used. Can you tell us what was their explanation?
Yes, because that is it. If you use money, public money, to buy a software and then you are not using it, well, then that means the money could have been used for something. The implication we say in the absence of a risk management policy, this software, right? Your finding is about the software.
Yes, the QuickBooks software, the payroll software.
3 point what?
Sorry.
Page 61.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, on used software. Okay, that's fine. We found that on used software, so if you spend this money on a of 456,000 and then it has not been used, then there is a risk that money wasted on purchase of those software could have been used for other activities to benefit the public. And then recommendation, management should provide genuine explanation for not using the software after spending much. They responded to say management will engage Kube Jara to restore the service so that we can start using that well-built software package. That was their response. They said they will start, engaging that one for them to start using it.
Interesting. I don't know whether the commissioners have any questions for the witness.
Yes, Honorable Fall.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That all council funds are to be lodged into a consolidated account as per the Local Government Finance and Audit Act of 2004. And furthermore, any funds that have to be expended or spent has to be done in line with the financial and accounting manual. And
That's
that is,
correct.
yeah. and that is for all funds.
Yes.
Because the funds are used for the development, are collected within the locality and used for the development of the locality.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the fact that there are other partnerships that Council has with other outside institutions that are providing funds to the Council? I will come to name them very shortly. But what I want to know is if funds are collected or received on behalf of the Council from another institution, shouldn't they not be in the consolidated fund? One. And then secondly, we have 3 projects at the Banjul City Council. 1 is the EU project, 2 is the city of Banjul sister city, Banjul Austin sister city, and thirdly is the Refala project. And funds are accrued from these projects to the Council for the betterment of the citizens of Banjul. So during your audit exercise, have you had the opportunity to audit these different projects? Or are the funds of this project or the funds accrued from this project amalgamated into the consolidated fund? Thank you.
No, these Rafela and then the EU, because projects are there. Each and every project, it will depend on how it has been designed, because even at the central government level, for example, there are projects, funds, they are public fund, I must agree, all projects are public fund, and any project that comes to the Council, it comes because of the citizens, not at personal level. But when you come to the audit of the project fund, at times it will depend on the agreement. Some will say it will be audited by private audit firms. Some of the donors will even have their own auditors that will come and then conduct the audit. So when it has to be audited by National Audit Office, then we will be informed about the project, and then during our audit, then we will conduct an audit on that project also. But these things has not come to our knowledge, as far as I'm concerned, that they are other, because even government, they will write to us, or at times the Auditor General will write, but most of the time they will write to us to say there is a new project, and then we are writing to the Auditor General Office to conduct an audit. And then some of the donors will specifically mention that it will be audited by the National Audit Office, but some of the donors will have their own auditor. They can say it can be audited by private audit firms. But as far as these projects you've mentioned are concerned, there is no review or no documentation that come to the attention of my team to say that it should be audited. It's like we don't have we don't come across any documentation or get any information, any formal information about this project. Yeah.
What about if some of the Council's funds are used in the implementation of these projects? Do you, for example, do social auditing so that there wouldn't be any form of duplication of procurement? I have a project that I am running, and then I have the Council that I am running. So I can go and purchase 75,000 wheelbarrows from the project. And then at the same time, I can use fictitious procurement to get 75,000 wheelbarrows from somewhere else when it has already been paid for by a project. So that's why I'm asking whether in the course of your audit, have you kind of discovered any parallel spending? Because I know we know, all right, evidence is coming in, that there are some funds from councils that have been used in some of these projects.
Yes, as far as I think the only ones we flag will be, for example, when you say the payment of these to some no supporting documentation, payments made without supporting documentation. Maybe those are some of the things that we can, okay, we saw this payment, but we have no idea why, because documentations are lacking. Because what I want to make clear, that is why auditors, they will be like, you should have a strong management in place, because it is the responsibility of management to make sure that there are strong controls mechanism in place, so that if there is any irregularities or whatever, it can be addressed by coming up with an internal auditors and then all the other stakeholders. Because external auditors, we are external, we are outside. Our work and this thing is limited. And then most of these things, if they are happening, and then maybe you don't have any correspondent or you don't have any information, it is difficult for you to know. So that's why even if you look at one of our query here, lack of minutes, and then access to counselors, because these are some of the things. For us, when we go out to audit, we will have an interview with the Director of Finance, the CEO, the chairperson or the mayor, and the councillors. Various councillors, those in the finance committee. These are some of the things that we wanted to have an idea. So if at all we have that opportunity to say, but there's these things happening also, then auditors will be able to do further work and then even request for those documentation. But if you don't have that opportunity, you are only confined to the documents, the public fund or whatever. If I thought there are other projects that you haven't seen any correspondence or that you haven't seen any file about it, you are limited. So some of these things we'll just be hearing people talking about it here and there, but you don't have most of the after the audit. It's just that maybe when you go back again, then you can try to, consult certain people or whatever to have an idea and then dig into it more. But for the period under review, for this period 2019-2020, I know the audit team doesn't come across any file concerning to those projects or any correspondence for us to be guided.
Finally, my last question. You did mention the issue of the rates register and also the trade license register. The rates register is based on the Rating Act, and valuation of properties are done, and then each property is assessed, and based on a percentage of the assessment, that is the rate that the ratepayer pays. All right. In your audit exercise, have you been able to reconcile the invoices, collection against the valuation in the register? Because if a property is supposed to pay $5,000 per annum, in actual fact, when the receipt is made or it is made or the payment is made, when you reconcile, I'm not saying that you do a forensic exercise to look at each and every one of the payments, but have you been able to discover any anomalies where a rate is paid at a certain amount based on what is on the register, and then less is paid?
Like what's supposed to be paid, somebody paid lesser than what's supposed to be paid. I think that is why even if you look at one of the queries, there is issue with the valuation issues. The team, and then they will say the rates areas or the amount collected cannot be verified because we don't know, the actual value that has been that's supposed to be paid, and then the amount, and then how did they determine the areas? So these are the financial issues that made us, to express this disclaimer of opinion. So you look at it. These are among the reasons why we even express a disclaimer of opinion.
And one of the biggest areas of leakage of revenue is not more on rates, but on trade licenses, businesses. That is where most of the, for example, in the city of Banjul, it is the rates from the commercial areas that are subsidizing services in the community, because the rates that we collect, or the rates that the council collects from the citizens is very minimal. But then when it comes to trade licenses, that is where the problem lies. Properties are assessed, but then when it comes to collection, it is undervalued.
Yes, and this is the reason why internal controls is key. By appointing an internal auditor that is competent, because the internal auditor is the council on a daily basis. These are some of the things that he will have an idea. So his report, or when the external auditors are there, these are some of the issues that you can, because it's not possible for external auditors to come. We have to design strategies to ensure that if there is any fraud or whatever, our procedures should be able to detect it. Because external audit is based on sampling. You don't take each and every file. So when we go at times, it's risk-based approach. Documentation is a problem. I think as part of our key audit matters, we've highlighted this. The constraint that we have, documentation was a challenge. This is for the readers to know that we are limited. And based on that, we cannot express an opinion. You request for certain documentation, maybe some of these you're talking about, even the referral things or whatever, maybe there might be documents. I'm just saying maybe. There might be documents. But if they are not coming to us, there's no way that we can know what is happening at the council. So we'll be limited. So having strong, right people at the right place always help an institution. Because that's why the internal auditors should be strengthened, and then they should be competent enough. Because they are part of whatever is happening in the council, they have that privilege to know and work with the external auditors, and then for us to corroborate and then come up with the findings. Otherwise, it's not possible any external audit to bring out all the abnormalities in the council within that sort of time frame, because it's based on sampling. Yeah.
Finally, I'm surprised that you are not aware of all of these projects that are going on. And I think there should be some kind of a good partnership between the National Audit Office and the Ministry of Local Government, Regional and Religious Affairs. Because Council cannot engage any international partner without the approval of the Ministry. All international arrangements, twinning arrangements, sister arrangements, projects and so forth, have to be approved by the Ministry. Even if the Ministry doesn't approve it, they have to be informed. So they are in the know. And they should also inform other stakeholders like your institution.
That is fine, but yes, but for us as external auditors, that is normal, because even if there are projects, you don't know the integrity of that project, the project arrangements, you have no idea, because we only review the policies or files review, and then that will tell us what is happening or what each and every transfer or project should be operating. And then if it is deviating from that, then we will flag that one. And then if you go, the file submitted to you, you have your interview, and then nobody talk to you about a project here. Because even if there is a project, to say that all projects should be, some project might even open a separate account. But there should be that accountability. Either the council finance will manage it, or maybe they will appoint a project accountant. So when that happens, then fine, you can know. But if I come here, there is a project in this hall, I'm outside, I just came, I don't see any file, nobody talked to me about it. It's not possible. It is the responsibility of the people appointed here to make follow-up and share those things with the auditors. Then auditors can come up with audit strategy to see if there is any abnormalities. Again, that's why our reports, we are very open when it comes to these things. I've been telling you some of my strategies. I don't write, but I'm confident in saying this because I know the effort that I made even at personal level to be making follow-up with the relevant people at the ministry as far as councils are concerned. And then when my team are in the field, the effort we will do to talk to people who are not even non-management staff, because for me, at times I will say the information that I got from the management can be biased or whatever, but I will tell my team, at times the information you got on certain matters from the cleaner is more reliable than the one that you got from the CEO in some areas. And then we make sure that the councillors, different councillors also, our doors are open. But you will meet a particular this thing, there are a lot of corruption going on here. And then you want to have an interview, because interviews are part of the audit procedures. And they will not tell you anything. They will not bring any evidence to you. What can you do? And then any audit finding you are writing, write it as, even if you are sleeping, they wake you will be able to defend it. Audit reports can end up being on court, and it's all evidence-based. So you don't just operate on hearsay. It's the people in the management, competent people, who will be able to share information with you during the audit, and then you apply your audit procedures to get it right. So maybe this is the difference. If it is an investigation, that is another thing. The police can go do that. But auditors is just based on procedures, and then we don't go outside that. We are also careful when conducting those things. Yeah.
Any other questions? No questions? All right, I have two questions, Mr. Tarawale. During the course of your findings, did you find out whether there is distinction between the role of the CEO and the team and the councillors?
Yes, I think it is stipulated in their various policy documents, because for us, we will just go, we will look at the act. What does the act say as far as the CEO? What does the service rule say? What does it, and then based on that, yes, we will. And then, yes, we are aware of that as auditors, the role of the CEO and then the role of the councillors. We are aware of that. So that is why, when we are there, we'll make sure that as much as we engage the CEO and his team, but we will also try hard to have that interview and then that interaction and this thing with the councillors as well, so that we can get other information that might not be readily provided to us by those responsible for the day-to-day administration.
Yes, my last question is in relation to what my colleague have asked with respect to some of these projects. You do realize that some of these projects are subvented. Okay. So is it part of your role to make findings about those subvented projects in a view to finding out how those projects have, executed their project in the municipality? The reason for me asking this question, because the subvention is coming from government, and that subvention is taxpayers' money. Yes.
Yeah, our responsibility, audits and investigations are different. When we write our engagement letter, is to say, to provide any document or any information, to provide it to the auditors. So when we get there, during the file review, interviews, evaluation, and then this, and that will tell us if there is any project or any other activity in the council. But during that, if you don't come across any letter in the file, none of the stakeholders, let's say the management staff, inform you about these findings, you have an internal auditor in the council who should be preparing reports for the council and the ministry on a quarterly basis. You don't see these things in the internal audit report. We review the monitoring team from the ministry, their report, and you don't see these things in that report. And for the 2019-2020, there was a committee set from the ministry. I can't remember the detail, but it was a bulky file. We reviewed that, and you don't see anything of that nature in that report. How can we just say there is a project here, and we need the reports of that, without getting any of this information from the insiders in that council? It will be very difficult. And then again, these reports are sent to all the oversight, and they don't tell you that, but there is something that you need to look at. It will be difficult. They are discussed at the National Assembly, and they didn't tell you that, but they are, because we need to be guided. Otherwise, we might go and then find ourselves wanting, being unethical and unprofessional. So we are very careful when conducting an audit, because audit also has procedures, and it's all evidence-based. This is the challenge as auditors. That is why, if we are limited, then they can go and then conduct an investigation by sending the police to go and then conduct a special investigation.
Thank you so much, and I believe that this is a convenient point to stop, and we'll end the proceedings for today. and we will continue tomorrow, Mr. Chawale, at 10 o'clock. Thank you so much, and we can rise.
Thank you.